and we are speaking to Hafiz Hussein Chinara, and he is the regional manager of African Muslims Agency and doing a lot of good work in the community, the humanitarian travels that he goes on as well for African Muslims Agency for close to 2 decades. Hafiz Hussein has spent time with orphans in refugee camps. He's climbed the mountains of Afghanistan to assess the needs as well as meeting families that are in need across South Africa and in South Africa as well. And today we are speaking about food shortages as well as the education crisis in South Africa. We'd like to welcome him to the program. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to Yadul Ansaar.
Salam, Sister Ayesha, and to all the listeners of Radio Al Ansar.
How are you doing this morning on your travels?
Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. It's that time where we're preparing for the blessed month of Ramadan, and just returning a day or two ago from Malawi, and we have a team currently who's just entered Syria. So efforts are ongoing and intensifying over the next couple of days and weeks, inshallah.
Inshallah, and we wish them well, inshallah, on their travels as well. So today we're talking about education as well as food that are still priorities in 2025 and you serving SA. So it's really heartbreaking to note that in 2025, we are still experiencing shortages of food in many vulnerable communities in SA. What would be the main reasons for this, Hafiz Hussein?
Well, of course, around South Africa, there's a massive need in many of the communities, whether it's the KZN, whether it's the Eastern Cape, it's one of the poorest provinces in South Africa with 75% below the breadline, and of course, around the country, and of course, many aspects, many challenges people face that lead to poverty. Of course, unemployment is high in many of the communities, and of course, rising costs as well. Leads to these circumstances where people, wake up daily struggling just to put bread on the table. And sometimes we say that so often that I think sometimes we lose the direness of that situation where right now, as many of us would have started our day, but for millions across South Africa, mothers are waking up worrying how they're going to feed their children, literally worrying how they're going to feed their children today. And we've met many of these families in the different efforts that's been taken around South Africa.
Yes, it's absolutely heartbreaking when you go door to door and you see families that don't have food every single day, and you see children that don't have education as well. So let's chat locally. How does AMA, African Muslims Agency, fill the food shortages gap in many areas in and around our localities?
Alhamdulillah, through the mercy of Allah and generosity of donors, AMA supports more than 250 community-based organizations, madrasas, masjids, institutions that are working in the remote areas across the country. And for an example, right now for the month of Ramadan, we would provide the thousands of grocery home boxes. I wouldn't call it a hamper, it's a home box that has essentials, of course, of your hamper products, such as your food items, but also has, whether it be your consumables for cleaning, your toothbrushes, toothpaste, towels, dishcloths, plates, cups. And these are distributed and given out to organizations and communities across South Africa, as well as blankets that go with us. So, we identify needs that are in communities, and going into those communities and providing the assistance, but then also looking at how we can support community-based organizations who are also in these communities. So partnering and supporting the work that's already being done as well. For example, in the Eastern Cape, around 7 township areas on a daily basis receive hot meals. These are high-risk areas on many fronts. These are the most poorest of communities, but more than 144,000 meals go out on a yearly basis. And this is, of course, through partnership with local businesses in those areas as well. For example, in the Eastern Cape, it was AfriSafe Cash and Carry. And of course, we do that around the country as well. So this is the immediate response to the hour of need of hunger that is right now apparent around the country. And of course, other aspects we have, other projects we have around South Africa touches on the education. We have schools and, of course, water projects that's been done around South Africa.
Talking about education, there are many children in South Africa who cannot afford an education, so they don't attend school. As a humanitarian aid organization, how does AMA manage this problem?
We have a school called the Aman School. Aman means safety. It's the sister school of the school we have in Lebanon for Syrians and Palestinians. And this school in South Africa is based in Finetown, Johannesburg. It's our third year running now, alhamdulillah. And from grades 1 to 4 this year. And it's for the community and for the children of the Finetown community. And how it provides high level education. It's a mixture of Muslim and non-Muslim kids. And of course, requires donors to sponsor a child. And we give you feedback and, a profile of the child that you sponsor. But of course, then we're seeing the growth of these kids and how they're growing and how they some Muslim as well. But of course, the intention here is to provide education, Islamic education, and open it up to everybody from the Finetown community. And alhamdulillah, it's a project that's been taken on and growing immensely. I want to encourage everybody, if you're in Johannesburg, please visit the Aman School in Finetown. Come and visit, see the kids, meet the families, see it's high level education. We introduce robotics, science labs. So it's not second grade education. It's high level education, and encourage you to join us in this regard, inshallah.
Inshallah, I'm sure people would really, engage with you on that as well. Would you say that there are many humanitarian organizations in South Africa overlapping in assisting our vulnerable communities? Could you elaborate on that, please?
No, I don't. Of course, that is a concern in every community that we work in, and that's why at Africa Muslims Agency we support community-based organizations. So, if there is a need in a particular area that comes to our attention, we first direct that need to the local organization or community that's working in that area that we support, because they would have intimate knowledge of the person, the home, the ID number, the situation, before we would just respond. Always directing the person first to the local organization that's working in that community. And it's never in this work, you can never compete with a person suffering. Together we complete each other, not compete with one another. We complete each other. So it's about networking and partnering and supporting the needs on the ground coming together. So then of course it's about how we can work together to ensure that in that community, that how we can support. And if there's another organization working in an area and we see of a need, we will always direct that need to the people who are working in that area and not overlap. Because ultimately, the fulfillment of the donor's niyyah and ensuring that those that are receive, inshallah.
I love
But I
that.
tell you, yeah.
Mashallah, I love that you're saying that we don't compete, but we complete. That is what we should do. And networking is absolutely important, I think, with all organizations in South Africa and the world over.
Absolutely. And of course, together our reach, coming together, would reach many areas by working together, inshallah.
Inshallah. So I'm sure in your experience, you have witnessed many, many heartbreaking situations. What has been that one situation that has stuck with you and you decided, this is why I will never stop assisting the people who need me or your organization? Personally,
firstly, we always remind ourselves that we're not doing anybody a favor. Allah doesn't need me, doesn't need you, doesn't need any of us to change any situation. Allah is aware of what's happening. But the fact that He's brought it to our attention is for us to do something. And when we're in the front of someone, when we're delivering a means of assistance, it is once we always think that person is more doing us a favor than we're doing them a favor. And of course, many families we've met in many instances. I mean, I can talk about whether it's South Africa or Africa, where I was a few days ago in Malawi or different parts of the world. But let me focus, as we're talking about South Africa, in one of the homes, I mean, in the Western Cape, in an area that's economically, it's an area that's gang-ridden, and going into those homes and sitting with that grandmother. I remember sitting with that grandmother, and she had her grandchildren with her. and her children, she does not know where they are. They left the grandkids with her weeks and months before, and they've disappeared. And she's, not of the best of health, and she would, really struggle every single day. Wake up worrying, wondering how she's going to take care of her grandkids. And but she tries every day. She has the yaqeen in the faith that Allah will provide. But she makes an effort, despite her medical challenges, to provide for her families. Another family we met this one mother who lives in a township locality, and she gave her daughter to stay with somebody else, another family relative. Now imagine a mother who
Mm.
loves her child, will go to the ends of the world for her child. Her daughter, who she loves dearly, she gave her daughter to stay with another family member because she does not have the necessary warmth in her so-called structure home to keep her daughter warm. So what she did was she gave her daughter to stay somewhere else. At what point does a mother have to do that?
Desperate.
Keep her
Desperation.
desperate
Desperation.
needs,
Mm.
desperation. But she's seeing to the needs of her daughter. So now you provide a
Alhamdulillah.
blanket in that family, in that
Mm.
home. Just a blanket, one blanket. It's a tangible blanket. You look at it, you feel warm. You put it on, you feel warm. That blanket, imagine the difference. You can bring that daughter back home to her mother. That's the difference.
That's the
That
difference. Alhamdulillah.
that's the difference that will make to that home. So when you sponsor towards food or hampers or blankets, yes, it's we look at the tangibles of the flour and the rice and the blankets, but you don't know the feeling and the fear you're removing from the mother. Allah knows that mother, whether she knows you've been part of this process or not, Allah knows that you are part of it. And the mere relief that that mother feels, or smile, or warmth, I don't know how you put tangibility to a feeling of warmth, but Allah knows, and that body is feeling rested and okay and satiated. That feeling, that body thanks its creator, and Allah rewards you in that process. Allah accept your niyyah. So these are
Inshallah.
opportunities for us as we head into the days where we ask Allah for to soak us in His mercy. We are encouraging us all to come together and share of your mercy, to share of your plate, inshallah, with those that are in need. And may Allah be most merciful to you, inshallah.
Inshallah, Ameen, and Jazakallah for doing that, for going to different homes. I know there are so many people in the community, like you as well, humanitarian, that who goes into different parts of South Africa in the world over as well, and just touch that one person. And may Allah Ta'ala reward you people abundantly as well for going that extra mile. So, what would your take home message? We don't have much time, but what would your take home message be to our ardent listeners of Yadul Ansar?
You know, on this beautiful morning of Jum'ah, may Allah bless you all. May Allah protect you and your family. And we just want to encourage you, as the world faces many challenges, what is our response to that? Our response is in Hadith and Quran, where Allah comes to the assistance of those that comes to the assistance of his fellow brother and sister.
Ameen.
Who you're listening does not have needs. To fulfill those needs, you fulfill the needs of a fellow brother and sister. Allah will fulfill your needs. And so right now, as people are in need across the world, right here in South Africa and across the world, share of your plate, share of your means, because Allah brought it to your attention for you to do something. Yes, we must make dua first and foremost. We must, but let's not look at what the political situation is and what the economic situation. The fact is there is a need. And to come to the assistance of those of another human being, you are considered the best of creation. So may Allah keep you with honor, with good
Ameen.
character, and keep you amongst the best of His creation by serving another human being. You do not have to go to Syria and Gaza. You can serve another human being right here on your doorstep, right here in South Africa, and there are millions who are in need. We encourage you to join Africa Muslims Agency around South Africa as we head into these days, and of course throughout the year, to look to serve humanity, inshallah.
Inshallah, wise words, alhamdulillah, coming from a true humanitarian. And Jazakallah, barakallahu feek, to you and your team for taking time out to enlighten us on the plight of the vulnerable. And may Allah reward you and the team at AMA for the amazing selfless humanitarian work that you do. Inshallah, we will connect with you a little later on a later date to find out what's happening abroad as well. Have a wonderful and safe weekend ahead, especially in your travels on the North Coast, and all the best for the future projects, inshallah. Ma'asalama. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. آمين.
And that was Hafiz Hussein Chinara on the North Coast as well. I think going from Stanger to Mpangani and all over, that's what a true humanitarian does. Alhamdulillah and Jazakallah for